What's going on, guys? Welcome back if work. All right, and if I open it up in mono develop, and this is what you're gonna need. Pretty much you can copy this using Unity engine. You're gonna need that. Here in the square brackets I have system.serializable and then public class item, the name of the script. And then as you realize that there's no mono behavior here, right? You can delete the mono behavior and make it look like this, right? Because you don't need it, because we're not attaching, we're making sure that this script cannot be attached to anything in the game, right? It's just gonna sit inside the script file folder. All right, so we have public int item ID, then we have public string item rarity, public string items type, public string items name, public string items description, public sprite items icon. I noticed that some people use texture 2D. I use sprite, so sprite is much easier to work with than the texture 2D for me. All right, then the first function that I have is public item, the same name of the script. All right, script's name is item, so I'm just referencing it to public item. Then I'm returning int id, comma string rarity, comma string type of item, comma string name, comma string description. Now this name, I'm naming it like this with the capital E. There's a reason to it that I do it. It's because in Unity there's so many functions out there that have the use name with the small letter E at the end, and it does sometimes confuse the mono behavior and tries to use those names references into the script, into the function. So I decided to make the name with the capital E. Alright, so inside the script function I have item ID is equal to ID, this item ID is equal to this ID, this item rarity is equal to rarity, item type is equal to type of item, item name, this item name is equal to name, item description is equal to item description or item desc, item icon is equal to this item icon, the sprite, is equal to resources. Now I'm loading the resources here, resources folder, resources dot load sprite in parentheses skins / plus name with capital E. This name with capital E is this right here. All right, now the resources, anything that you're going to be instantiating like as a sprite or pulling it from the file or folder, make sure that your first folder is called resources, and then if you want to split those resources into groups, then you can add other folders, like I have a background and skins. So in this case I am looking for the skins, so in this script I'm looking for the load sprite skins / plus name, the name of the item, which is this. Then I have another function, public as well. It's called same as a script, but it's empty. It's not returning anything, it's empty. So this is pretty much what we're going to do, is call this item when there is nothing, call this function when there is nothing, where we don't have any items available. All right, pretty much that's what that is for. All right, the second script, it's called item database, public list Now I'm bringing the list in, and this list is the item. I'm calling the item script right here, and I'm calling it items. All right, referencing it to items is equal to new list item. Again, the script pretty much saying this list is referenced to items, and it's referencing it to new list item. The second, and then we have a function. We can make this function to private. Calls it right before starts. All right. So awake. Inside the awake function, I have items. All right. The reference add inside parentheses new item. Right. Inside the parentheses, I have 0, comma, speech marks, comma, open close speech marks, comma, open close speech marks. Inside the speech marks, I have default, comma, another open speech mark, default, empty slot, comma. All right, what does this do? All right, well, this first before the comma here is ID. If you go back into the item and you look at the public item function, the first thing is int ID, right? So in database, we have ID, which is 0. The second part, this part, is rarity. For this, I have nothing, no rarity. Second part is type of item. Type of item, nothing, no type of item. The third part is the name of the item, which I call the default. That's right here, right? That's the name. And the last thing is description of the item, which is describing what that item is for, or what that item is, default empty slot. And all I did is copy this, paste it, and made a new one. And every time you copy and paste one of these lines of codes, make sure that this first thing is always different, is always one number up. Script. Now this script needs to be attached into the level. If I go back to Unity Engine, I have item database, which is empty. This is what I did. I went right click, create empty, and called it item database. All right, that's it. And what I did is inside added item database script that is inside the inventory here. You just grab the script and add it to it, and this is that script, right? Once you do that, once you add the script onto the item database that is inside the lobby level, hit play. If everything went according to the way I did, you should see something like this. If you click on item database and open up your items, you're going to have either 4, or depends how many items you're working with. Check out the first element, says item ID 0. Check out the second element, item ID 1. Third element, item ID 2. Fourth element, item ID 3. So it does, if you check out the names, default, second name random, second name helper's hat, fourth name Viking hat, helmet. So yeah, it does separate them. It does add all those items descriptions and names, and even as the item icon as well. So make sure that when you name your sprites, which is inside the skins, when you name the sprites, all right, let's say, see this sprite right here, it says helmets hat. Make sure to, when you add this name inside the item database, to be exactly the same as the item that the sprite that is inside the resource folder. Same exact name. Otherwise, it's not going to work. It's not going to pull the sprite at all. All right. So if when you hit play and you click on item database, if item icon has nothing here, it says none icon, that means you probably have misspelled the name of the icon. So make sure that you spelled it right. Make sure that everything is same as inside the as you name the icon, your sprite. Okay, for it to work properly. Once you do that, all right, we're gonna go and look at the next script, which is skin inventory. I call this next script skin inventory, and inside the skin inventory I have system collisions generic, Unity engine.ui. Make sure you add this line of code using Unity Engine UI. And first line of code I have its public list item. I'm calling the item again inside this script, and I'm referencing it to inventory equals new list item. Then I have in square brackets serialized field private item database, referencing it to database. Now what this is I am trying to get access to the item database. So if I go back to Unity Engine and inventory panel, this is where we're gonna add a skin inventory. And yep, so on the database, when you add the skin inventory onto your inventory panel, make sure to grab item database and attach it to database. Yeah, when you're done with that, just go back to the script and we're gonna keep on going. Serialized field private, that's, yeah, let's take this out for now. I don't think that I need it. Object slot we're gonna need. Okay, all right, next one is serialized field private. Now why do I use serialized field? Because I'm using private. All right, if I were to switch this to public, I wouldn't need this serialized field. Now when you want to see anything that's private inside the inspector, you want to add serialized field to it, or you can go onto here and switch to debugging, and then you're going to be able to see everything that's inside the script. But I usually, you know, make it a serialized field because I'm at, you know, when I want to attach something to that line of code, but I wanted to make sure that it's private, then I use the serialized field in front of it, just like that. So private game object, open close square brackets, objects slot. All right, now what this code will do is we're gonna go to inventory and we're gonna add, let me just hit save here, go back, and we're gonna add slots, inventory slots, or you can call this inventory slots if you want to, but I called it object slot, and we're gonna add to this object slot, we're gonna add this inventory slot. All right, let's turn this on so you can see it, and let's turn this on as well. So this inventory slot, we're gonna add it to the object slot like that. Okay, that's that for. Okay, second thing, we can hit save. Second thing I'm gonna look into is well, we're gonna ignore this for now. I'm gonna go back and we're gonna work on that later. All right, ignore this for now. Right now we're gonna be looking at this function, private void unopened. What? I misspelled it, so we're gonna fix that. Unopened inventory, and then I have int k equals 0. Then I have a for loop for, in parentheses, int I equals 0, I less than inventory, which is the item list, inventory, dot count, all right, I plus plus. In the inside the brackets, inside this for loop, I have another for loop, which is for int j equals 0, j is greater than, if it's greater than object slot dot length j plus plus. And inside this for loop, I have objects slot open close square brackets I dot set active true. Now what this does is checks how many inventory items we have in inventory, if it's 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, and for each count this line of code will check if there's enough of object slots inside the object slot, and then activate them so they're visible. At this point there's 2 of them, so I'm gonna turn this off just for now. I want to show you what happens later on. All right, so then after that I have if statement. If inventory, which is the item list, k dot item name, if k item name is not equal to this, which is nothing. All right, you can have this as null, I think, as well. Let's see, probably gonna throw me an error here, but we'll see. Null. All right, then if it's not null, then for each object slot I dot get component in children, actually you can have this get component, just get component. I was just testing something out. Get component, I'm gonna switch that so it doesn't confuse you. So I don't want to confuse you too much. I was testing something out, it did work just fine, but this should work as well. Well, if it doesn't, we're just gonna go back and switch it. It's no big deal. Get component slot, and this is where I am ahead of myself. All right, now we have to make a slot script called slot. So I'm going to go back to Unity, inside the inventory script folder, create a C# called slot, open it, and we're going to look into this slot. Inside the slot, I have Unity Engine UI, and Unity Engine .event systems. Then public class slot, mono behavior, comma, I pointer enter holder, comma, I pointer exit handler, not holder, handler, I'm sorry. I'm horrible at reading, I guess. All right, this is what I added. This is this event system. Without, you cannot call these Unity functions without event system. All right, so make sure you have that. This is for the tooltip, by the way. All right, this line of code we're gonna look into later. You can ignore that, but we're gonna look into this code. Public string rarity, public string item type, public string name, public int ID, public string description, public sprite icon. All right, just copy as it is, even this name with the capital E. Then you'll see why. Well, you might not see it because I'm avoiding something that Unity does go nuts over with the name with the small letter E. So I make sure that this E is capital E. The next thing is what I have is serialized field, private image, items icon, and the start method or function I have items icon dot game object dot set active true. Then items icon dot sprite equals icon. I'm going to explain all that, what that does. Go back to skin inventory, and now we're going to continue. Object slot I dot game get component slot dot id equals inventory I dot item id. What this does is for each inventory slot, we're gonna get the component, which is slot, that we're gonna attach the slot to the inventory in a minute, and then the ID of that slot, which is public, this ID right here, okay, we're gonna say that that ID is equal to inventory dot item ID, which is items ID, which is right here, the first one, items ID. So it's equal to that. And also the second code is pretty much the same, just you can like pretty much copy all this and paste it down to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and change after the slot of each code, change item ID, then have name, description, rarity, item type, icon, and under inventory I dot item ID. For the second one is item name, third one is item description, third one is item rarity, fourth one is item type, and fifth one, actually the sixth one is item icon, is equal to item icon. Once you're done with that, make sure to add this line of code as well, k++. This line of code is actually at the end of the first for loop, after the first for loop, I'm sorry. And then I have another function which is private void add item. We are returning int ID, and then inventory dot add in parentheses database dot item ID inside the square brackets, items ID. So inside the start I have unopened inventory. All right, when you call this unopened inventory, make sure that this unopened inventory is called always a last inside the start. You do not want to have add item and then ID after the unopened inventory, otherwise it's not going to work. You're not going to see anything inside your inventory. So make sure that when you're adding item to inventory, that this item add function is called before you call unopened inventory. Okay, so for the first one I have add item ID2, which we're going to look into the item database and see what that item 2 is, ID, which is this one line of code. It's epic top helpers hat Santa's helpers hat description. All right, so we're gonna go and to the Unity engine, and we're gonna start adding these scripts to our inventory. So we have item database. I showed you that earlier. Um, Inventory has skin inventory as well. We added the inventory slot under the object, and inventory slot needs a slot like that. Add a slot to it, and item icon, which is the image, should call that image instead of item icon. Item image, yeah, let's call it item image so that it's not confusing you. Item image, items image, and call it here as well, items image, so it doesn't confuse people. It probably is confusing already so far, but trust me, you'll once you get how all this works, you're gonna have fun making it. I'm gonna hit save. I did. Okay, go back to Unity engine and wait for this items icon to switch to items image, and now we know that it's asking for the image. So under the item slot that we attached the slot script, we're going to grab the image that we made earlier in earlier videos. We're going to attach that image that is been turned off. Okay. And if everything went well, this should probably work. I'm going to deactivate this as well, the inventory slot, just to show you that it's going to activate on its own. And what's going on here? I have no idea. I'm going to hit play, see if we have any issues. No issues, but everything went well. Look at that. The item slot has been activated. It has all the information, the epic, the top, the name, the ID, description, even the icon is attached to it and it's been shown. So pretty good, right? Now, how do we add more items to it? Well, we have to make more item slots. In this case, let's say I make 2 more item slots, and let's say I go back to the skin inventory and add another item, and this one is going to be called it's going to have ID 3. Hit save, slot as well, hits, oh, why do I have plus there? That's no good. When did that happen? Hit save. If I go back, this should work. I had issues earlier when I was testing something out, and I thought that I did fix it, so let's see if it's going to give me more issues. Yeah, it does give me an issue. Yep, it does. It does give me an issue. Let's figure out. Oh yeah, I know why. This is what I keep forgetting to do, is inside the inventory panel, inside the object slot, make sure if you add more item slots, inventory slots, make sure to add them let's freeze this and make sure to add them under the skin inventory, under the object slot. Alright, otherwise that error is going to show up. And then if we hit play now, why am I, oh, because this is the extra, right? Now we have 2 items, and they both have everything added to them under the name, under the description. Even the icon is working just fine. Alright, so click that locker items. Look at that. I just wanted to show you that, you know, if you have 3 inventories, item slots, only 2 will activate because there's only 2 items that we added, and the third one will not activate because you don't have the third slot. You don't have anything under the third one, even in the inventory. It's perfectly fine, right? It looks good. You have 2 items inside the inventory and they show up there, they show up here. That's good. Now look into the tooltip right now. So let's work on tooltip. All right, open up your slot script and copy these. Serialized field text, items rarity text, serialized field text, item type text, serialized field text, item name text, serialized field text, item description text. All right, copy that, make that. You can have this as public as well, or you can just have it as serialized field just like I did. And then after you do that, we're gonna go to the Unity engine. We're gonna click on Tooltip panel under the Skin panel, and we're gonna add all those texts. All right, so how many texts do we have? Actually 4. 4, yep, we have 4. So we're gonna call it like that. All right, we have 4. So we're gonna start adding those texts under the tooltip. Stop it. UI text. We're gonna change the color of the text to kind of white so we can see it like that. It's going to be bold, and this is going to be let's see, from there, yeah, it's fine, in the center. Or should we put it under? Yeah, leave it like that for now. And we're going to put this somewhere, so let's see, not in the center, we don't want it in the center. Let's put it up here, and then I'm going to move it down a bit like that. And this one's going to be called, if I can, oh my god, come on, item rarity text. Item rarity text. I'm going to duplicate this text. Duplicate. Oh my god, stop it. It's like, what is going on? I don't want to rename it. Now I want to rename it. This one is going to be called items type text. Okay, we're going to call it items type text. Type text. Alright, duplicate that. Actually, I'm going to move this. Item type is going to be next to the item rarity, or item type, item rarity. I can actually put it under the same. Yeah. No, we're not going to put it under the same. Let's use it for that, like that. It's fine. Item type, duplicate this and call this item name text. I keep this text so I know it is text. I'm going to put it down here, and I'm going to stretch this out a bit. No, not really. Put it down here. Like that maybe. And item description we're going to need one for. Alright, put it right here, and this item description we're going to stretch it out. That one we can stretch out because it's going to describe the item. Item description, item desk for short, like that. So we have 4, right? Go to item slot, and before you make, we can delete this one, we can duplicate it again after we add all this stuff. So on the slot we need item rarity text, which is the first one, item rarity text. We're going to add that there. For the second one, item type text, we're going to add that, item type. Third one is item name. Okay, item name. Item description, like that, like so. And I'm gonna hit save. We're gonna duplicate this again. So we had 2 inventories, slots. Go back to slot script, and we're gonna go and look at the 2 functions. One is public void on pointer enter, pointer event data. This is this right here, on point enter handler. Without that, this function wouldn't work. So and what this does is pretty much when the cursor scrolls over or flies over the object that this has attached to, it's gonna describe, it's gonna be either true or false, and it's gonna pretty much give this. In this particular event, we're gonna have a show the description, the rarity, the description, the type, the name, and all that stuff inside the tooltip. So inside this function, I have items rarity text dot text equals rarity plus space here. I'm adding space because this rarity, and well, I don't have to add it, but you don't have to, but I did that in previous games. So, and then the second one is item type that text dot text equals, again, nothing, or like just a space plus in speech marks like a line, this forward line or up vertical line, plus items type, which is the items type here. Items name text dot text equals name, and then items description text dot text equals description. Alright, if I hit play here, see how new text, all that is visible right now? It should change right now if I go over this. See? It changed. But it looks horrible, right? But it did change. It gives you description and all that stuff. But my other, what is get? Why am I getting? What's not again? Oh, okay, because of this, like that, because I forgot again to add inside the inventory to add the slot manually. There's a way that you can add these slots to the inventory automatically on start, but I'm going to show you that in the next video on how to do that. Right now, let's look into all the tooltip. Alright, so uncommon, Vikings helmet, epic top, hamlet hat, Santa's helper. So we can change this. It's horrible the way it is right now, so we're gonna change that. Let's see, description is, I'm gonna change description to like that. Let's hit play and see if that's gonna work. Much better. Look at that. Epic top, hammer hat, Santa's helpers. Okay. So yeah, you can play around, work on this, see what you can come up with. But this is your simplest tooltip ever. All right, simplest tooltip ever. All right. So thanks for watching. And